Good morning. This is Buckinghamshire Business First's Talking Heads podcast, and I'm Elizabeth Adlington. I'm part of the board of Buckinghamshire Business First. And Ashley Carr, it's great to welcome you to the podcast.
Nice to see you, Elizabeth.
So it really is a privilege to sit down and talk to you about all things PR, and I do confess I've been looking forward to this opportunity. So let's start at the beginning. So tell us about your own business, Neo PR, and the sectors that you work in.
Sure, yeah. So it's Ashley Carr. I'm Managing Director of Neo PR. We're based in Bucks, which is great, and we've been going for over a dozen years now. How did I end up here? Well, I have a technology background. I designed and built primary flight control systems for fighter aircraft back in the day. Then turned marketeer, became marketing director for IT companies, both in the UK and abroad in the US, and decided to take marketing one step further and built my first PR agency in 1999, sold out in 2011, and then started Neo. So that's the background to the journey. Neo is a business-to-business PR agency focused on the tech sector. So retail technology, health technology, cyber technology, finance technology, that sort of thing. And we got a real focus on getting our clients heard above the background noise in what is a very busy market. And I'm sure we'll come on to talk about how busy that market's got from a digital perspective. We really pride ourselves on generating thought leadership copy that gets our clients heard. And digital PR, which is now quite well established, but is relatively new in terms of PR. And the key thing for us is that we're deliverables based rather than time based. So that's just a bit of background of how we got here in the first place.
So there's a big connection there to both being in the technological sector, but then also in the world of PR, you're facing the fact that technology becomes part of your business. I guess that we're thinking about digitization. All businesses are, in every sector, some part of business is being affected by digitization. So what are the opportunities for PR in a digital age, and how might some of those approaches that you've experienced in your own career journey be faring or evolving in order to make the most of digital capabilities that are coming along for everybody?
Well, it's a good question. Can I just take a step back from this? Because I often say to people I work in PR and they have a slightly glazed expression, not really understanding what PR is. Lots of people have got different views of what PR is. So it means different things to different people. It's public relations or press relations, and traditional PR used to be event driven. So it was press conferences, it was press releases, it was informing the media about an announcement. And there's always a place for this. Announcements tend to find their way out on social media first these days, but there are still press conferences. So that's most people's view of PR is briefing the media about something that's happened or is about to happen. Yeah. But modern PR is more about owning the narrative through talking to the market about the market issues that your potential prospects or customers or your audience is facing. That's really what modern PR is about. It involves traditional PR, it involves making news announcements, but it's more about having a dialogue rather than a monologue in the industry. Mm-hmm. And then people say to me, well, why PR? Well, what does it do? And for me, it's more about brand awareness and driving leads into a business. So if someone does a Google search for a product or service that you offer, and it comes back with a long list of potential vendors, you need to be the one that stands out in that list that the audience have heard before. We all like to buy from brands that we know or have heard of. And that's what PR does. It gives the brand recognition. It gives the list of potential vendors. You're the one that stands out because people have heard of you. They've discussed you in the past. They've read about you in the media. So that's really what PR is about. So moving on from that, PR in the digital age, it is the new SEO, search engine optimization. There used to be lots of agencies out there doing SEO for you. They're now really PR companies that are in the digital age. So Digital PR is just recognizing that it's a change of pipeline. You've still got to get the content right, and creating content is absolutely key, and having original content is a must. But then it's choosing the right channel for that content. And whereas that used to be a press conference or a press release, that's now been added to by Twitter or X, LinkedIn. Still getting into the trade media is indeed, national and broadcast media is important, but it's recognizing that there are lots of channels now, and those channels all have different appetites and different cadence. So a tweet on X lasts a few minutes. A LinkedIn post will last a few days. Something in a print media might last a month. A daily newspaper is tomorrow's chip paper. So you've got to know what the media outlet is you're talking to. But digital is certainly part of that mix. But it is just a route to market. It's often faster. It's often more dynamic. But preparation and content is still king.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking earlier about, just picking up my own phone, got it in my hand here, and thinking about how many channels come through. Just on a phone, it's in the palm of your hand. And as you say, you've got the news feeds, you've got LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, so on and so forth. And they're either, as you say, they're trying to get your attention, or it's more you might go to look for information. So this thing about, content is, content's at the heart of it, and it's either going to be grabbing your attention, or it's going to be there when you want to go to look for it. So what are your thoughts, and what do you kind of see people doing in terms of how you get that standout content when it is a very digital, very busy space, and on those digital platforms? What are your thoughts?
Well, content is difficult. Content creation is difficult, and it's a real and growing issue for most companies that you just pointed out. It's time consuming, and not everyone's good at it. You might be very good at your designing what your proposition is to your clients. You might be very good at executing, but not everybody is a content writer. Not everybody is a marketeer. So when the demand is increasing, the timeliness of that demand, you've just mentioned some of the channels which are always on and immediate, and getting the right content is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. And creating original content that is honest and real about issues in the market, and then having an opinion on that is tough to do on a regular and consistent basis. Your PR, though, should be the one helping you. They should be coming up with that content with you and for you based on their understanding of your market, and then helping to craft that into a message that resonates with your audience and works in the media. Determining the right cadence for the content creation is also very key. There's no use feeding your social media 1 month and then ignoring it the next month. Your potential customers will see that as being disorganized. It's much better in that case to pick a lower cadence and then be consistent about putting that content out on a regular basis.
I mean, in recent years, we've become very aware of, that this space that has been taken by influencers, and it feels to me it's almost, we hand over our brand to somebody else to tell the story. But perhaps that's always been the case in some ways, that a brand might choose somebody who is in the public eye, that people feel that they trust, that they might believe, and this sort of phenomenon of the activity around influencers, doing that's not just an endorsement, but it's like it's a whole job that people have. But that feels like the space for big budgets and that kind of thing. So is it an option? Do you think it's important and something that people should be aspiring to, or do you think kind of owning your own story and crafting that story, presenting it as your own thought leadership, is equally powerful?
So there's quite a delineation here between business to consumer and business to business. Business to business does have its own influencers, but they're not the influencers that people think about. Firstly, they are more industry pundits who are revered for their backgrounds in the industry sector, so captains of industry. Influencers in the business to consumer space, of course, are the Instagrammers, the influencers that you might think of over there. They all have a place in both those camps, both business to business and business to consumer. They do have a place. And again, getting them to be on message is what the PR is going to help with. It is no use having your channels working against each other. So having an influencer saying one thing, your website saying something else, your LinkedIn feed being different, you've got to be consistent. So it's a real coordinated campaign, whether you're using influencers, whether you're using social media, whether you're using traditional news conferences, being consistent with that message, having the same message across all those channels is really important. And again, it starts back with the same thing: content. You've got to get the content right. You've got to build the content map, understand how that plays out over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, year, to make sure that you are telegraphing that message across all of the channels consistently all of the time.
I mean, the picture you paint is almost as though it's seeing it from the point of view of the, if you like, the broadcast, you know, the kind of the messaging going out. Do you also have a role to play in understanding sort of how things are landing, how things are being received? And to your point about saying, you know, how do I know that I'm getting that alignment and that I am harnessing the messages and getting that consistency?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're anyone who runs a business or is marketing a business will know what their market is talking about. But it's the job of your PR really to communicate back to you what your competitors are saying, what the market is saying, what the news of the day activities are, and having a really keen eye as to what issues are coming up in the news on an hourly basis, and then communicating that back. If you get it right, you'll have already produced the content, and then distilling that content, into comment that can be used very quickly in the media, if that be across social media or responding to the nationals or even broadcast. That's really key. That getting that timing right means that you're first with the answer to the story. You're first with the story, and you're the person that gets covered in the media. It's no use trying to comment on a story that broke 3 days ago because it's yesterday's story.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about digitization and, you know, PR, you know, sort of being part of what's happening in that. But we can't have this conversation without sort of acknowledging, I think, probably a feature of 2023, you know, ChatGPT. And you're talking about, you know, that harnessing of content. But it seemed to be that, you know, one of the features was, you know, ChatGPT, we can all have a go, you know, we can kind of get on there and get some information. And in prepping for this conversation, I thought I'd just go and find out a little bit about PR, and found out the first corporate press department was established in 1870 by a German steel company, and then in the US an electrical company followed in 1889. And someone called Ivy Lee is considered to be one of the forefathers of modern PR. So, you know, we're talking about something that, you know, goes back a long way. And all of what I found out there may or may not be true. I guess that's, you know, something to kind of put there. So what's the place of ChatGPT? What place does that now have in what you're talking about managing and kind of crafting the PR activity for a company?
Well, look, you just highlighted a great use for ChatGPT and AI tools. You've asked what is PR, and it's come back with some history. It's come back with some description about what it is, what it can do for you. What it isn't going to do, though, is, and it will help in lots of areas of marketing and proposal writing, and it'll have a place in our lives. What it can't do is produce original content. It can't talk about today's issue. So there's a news item that's breaking today. You could put it into ChatGPT, but it's going to give you information that it already has. It's not going to give you original feedback, original content. That really is place of PR, creating original content that is about issues happening in the media right at the moment. It's about owning today's narrative, and that's not where AI is at the moment. There's still a lag in that system. So news hijacking, commenting on current affairs in real time, talking about the issues affecting your clients, having a commentary on the industry. That's not where AI is strong. AI is strong in lots of areas, but it's not going to give you something which will turn eyes towards your message, because that message got to be real and got to be in the moment.
You paint a picture that sounds like that PR is sitting on the leading edge, that it leads and it informs AI, and perhaps some of the narrative is around perhaps AI is leading us and leading us our thinking in business. But yeah, absolutely, the content goes in there from that analysis. Just thinking about the ways in which businesses get challenged sometimes. In 2020, we saw businesses managing all sorts of crises, particularly because of COVID. And but they keep on coming. There's war and conflict, natural disasters, changes in the economy, and so on. It goes on and on. So what's your advice from a PR point of view for business leaders and businesses who find themselves at the center of a crisis or crisis management?
Well, firstly, this is really the power of PR. This is when you do need a PR. It's no use getting into a crisis, then going and finding a PR. But you've got to be. There's no off the record. A couple of things in the background. There's no off the record in the UK. People watch too many American films and think you can say off the record and then say what you want to a journalist. That doesn't work here. There is no off the record. If you say something to a journalist, they're quite able to publish it. And saying no comment just gives the journalist a signal that they can write what they want. So they're not good responses. A crisis is all about being honest and being prepared and putting a statement together and working with your PR to put the statement together, being quick in your response and then being available to comment. That's really useful. Briefing your staff to make sure that you're the only spokesperson and they're not hearing different stories. And then this is a really key thing. If you've messed up, confess. Talk about what reparations are going to be done and what's going to be put in place to prevent it from happening again, and apologise. Be there, be available, and be honest. That's the best way to handle a crisis. We've seen it in the media just in recent days with Mark Zuckerberg apologising at a US Congress. This is how PR should be done. It's being real, being honest, and being in the room.
Yeah. Interesting what you say about the no comment. It's almost saying, well, clearly there is a story, but you haven't crafted it. So preparation seems to be key. So what are your kind of insights then on how do you make sure that you are prepared? Because we know that we're living in an ever-changing environment, and that being ready for, well, what is it that's coming over the horizon? How do you do that?
Well, you can forecast some crises. You can imagine what might go wrong with a project or a delivery or a proposition, whatever you're doing as a business. You can imagine some of the scenarios that might take place that would actually cause potential upset. You can't foresee them all, but you can certainly foresee some of them. And you can build a policy, both how you react to that, but also put some content together, some statements together that might be kept in a dusty top drawer and never used, hopefully, but can be accessed quite quickly. You need a disaster recovery plan, a plan where you have the key players aligned, they know what they're doing, and you've got some things prepared in the process. But and this is the really key thing here: timeliness. As soon as you find out something has gone wrong, before the media finds out, before your customers find out, before anyone else finds out, you've got to get on it straight away. It's no use putting the hat on and jumping in the trench. It is getting there, putting a statement together, making sure everyone's briefed on what the message is going to be, and then being available to comment to the media.
When have you seen that done well?
I can't come up with a example in my head straight away, but you do see it in the media, of course, all the time. People getting caught out and not doing it well, or giving one version of the truth and then a few days later coming up with another version of the truth. No one wins in that game.
Yeah. Just going back to that ChatGPT kind of bit of information, and the idea that this has been PR has been around since 1870. That feels like quite a long time. There's some significant anniversaries, I think, in that timeline. What does the future look like for PR?
I don't think it's going to change that much, actually. PR, as you quite rightly point out, has been around for quite a long time. It is about taking a message to an audience. It's understanding the audience and crafting the message so that you can get maximum penetration into that audience. That's not going to change. The creating original content isn't going to change. That they are fundamental parts of PR. What might change is the route to market, the channels to market. That may change. There may be, the advancements in social media. There's new social media coming to play all the time. There are going to be new tools and new access. There was actually a bit of a resurgence in lockdown, in the pandemic, of coming back towards local media, which had been on the wane for some time, but really picked up during the pandemic, because it became important to know what was going on in your local region as we were all trapped at home. So channels evolve, channels change. That's the bit that the future holds, is what is the channel going to be? What's going to be working for your audience? Where are they consuming and getting their information from? Where are they getting their information to make buying decisions or decisions about what they're going to be doing as a business? But the fundamental parts of PR, which is creating content, making sure it's timely, making sure it's relevant, honest, and really talks to the issues in the market, that will always be the same.
So that's the kind of the bigger picture of the future. But just to take it back to what's the one small thing that you think that people should just always be paying attention to in order to stay ahead in that kind of daily, weekly task or discipline? What's the one small thing?
I think that the key thing is, I keep going back to it, it's content. The key thing you need to do is make sure you are always talking to your target audience, whatever that audience might be, and being consistent about doing that. Not doing it in fits and starts, but being consistent about the communicating message out to the target audience. Then people come to expect that you're going to have opinions on the market, and people start looking out for it. There are many PR campaigns that we run for our clients where journalists come to us for comment because they know we've got spokespeople who are willing to comment on issues that are going on in the marketplace. So being there, being ready, being prepared, and being consistent, really key.
And does that tie together with your earlier comment where you said, that PR really can be about thought leadership? Is that how you really start to get that connection to being a leader in your space?
Yeah, absolutely. Being part of the industry narrative, making sure you're at the forefront of the industry narrative is really key. It positions you as a thought leader. It positions you potentially as the market leader, even though you may not be the market leader. If you're the one always commenting on what's going on in the sector, people will perceive you as a well-known brand. They'll perceive you as a brand with an opinion. They'll perceive you as a market leader, even though you may not have the largest market share. So yeah, really, really key to be out there and be ready to make comment.
It sounds like it's always on PR. It's a task that's always there to be done, but huge opportunities that are there to be gained for your business, and great to have people like you as experts out there who can guide and support and advise. So thank you for your insights. It's been a privilege to really understand your experience and your ideas, your take on how to do this well, how to be in this space really, really well. So leaves me to say all the best to you and your work with Neo PR, and of course all the companies that you have the opportunity to support. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for the invite.